Recently, many of you have requested that I analyze or comment on a video that was posted recently by another channel called Dutchincy. I don't normally analyze videos from other channels because I don't like it when people do that with mine. The information is what it is. But I do believe in this particular case, there is something that I can contribute to this discussion. Some imagery was captured on shortwave that looks like some type of beaming technology. I'd like to share the images from his video. I'm not going to play the video for you. The title is, it starts with the date 10/9/2020. Directed energy weapon, DEW, caught beaming at Tyndall Air Force Base Space Wing. That's the title of his video. It was premiered what it looks like probably now about 14, 15 hours ago, something like that. What he captured was two white streaks, one going from what looks like Tyndall Air Force Base up to someplace in Tennessee. Now, the analysis that he gives is that the line is actually a three-dimensional image. Let me see if I can bring it up here where people can see it. Here it is. As you can see, there is this very strange, anomalous white line that appears in this shortwave IR imagery. And while his interpretation, once again, is that it's going from the surface to space or vice versa, I would like to offer an alternative interpretation. Many people are unaware that there are some hidden intelligence and surveillance sites across the United States. The Air Force operates some of them. The Army operates some of them. The new Space Force, I'm sure, is going to be taking over that command very soon. This is the first one. What I believe is being seen here is a test of a laser weapon. Truthfully, it's a test of a laser weapon that is shooting something down, and it's starting from the ground and going to someplace in our atmosphere, not directly up into space, but because of where it is here in Tennessee. This is our first location. We're going to cover these two locations and then also another one that he shows appearing near Lake Charles, Louisiana, where the hurricane's about to hit, and up here in Oklahoma. Now, once again, let me reiterate for one more time. His allegation is that it's not going to Oklahoma, it's going up into space or coming down from space. I do believe it's going to Oklahoma right here, and so is the other line, going to Nashville, respectively. Now, let's start with the first one. I've brought up those lines on Google Earth Pro here, and they do correlate to military installations, known military installations. The first stop that we're going to make, of course, is down here in Florida at Tyndall. This is one of the most important Air Force bases in the whole country. What most people don't know, however, is that based at Tyndall is the 53rd Weapons Evaluation Group. Now, let's bring that up real quick. What do they do? The 53rd Weapons Evaluation Group is a United States Air Force unit that reports to the 53rd Wing, stationed at Tyndall. It's part of Air Combat Command. What they do basically is test shooting down drones with ground weapons. That's what they do. That's their job. 53rd Weapons Evaluation Group is made up of 5 squadrons and 2 detachments, conducts Air Force air-to-air weapon systems evaluations also. But most recently, there has been this very secret development of these laser weapons, and we're going to cover this in a minute. And they've talked about this. People think of these laser weapons as an air-to-air type of dogfighting weapon, it's really not. They mount these aboard very large aircraft, and they use them to shoot down ICBMs. Doesn't look anything like this. It looks a lot more like this. So that's the 53rd. Now, the next stop would be Nashville. People are like, wait a minute. What could possibly be up in Nashville where they would be shooting things down? Well, there's a little known fact about Nashville International Airport, is that it's home to the 118th Air Intelligence Wing. And they fly MQ-9 Reaper drones. That's what they do. That's their job. This is a picture of the 118th right here, posing with the MQ-9 behind it. So the two lines, the first two lines that are shown, or the first two locations, the first one line that is shown in his video correlate between two locations, one known for flying drones, one known for shooting them down. One known for flying drones, and one known for shooting them down. The 53rd Weapons Evaluation Group at Tyndall Air Force Base, and the 118th Air Intelligence Wing, secretly based at Berry Field, Nashville International Airport. Now, the second one. There is also a very little known facility called Chennault Airfield. Now, for a long time, it was a very strategic bomber site, but the Air Force has supposedly long abandoned it. But it is currently a NASA-used facility. It's a regional airport. I'm sure a lot of people, I'm sure Jennifer Veterans for Truth will know all about Chennault Field, but not know that NASA uses it all the time. And that's public information. Let's bring that up real quick. Chennault International Airport is a public use airport located 4 nautical miles east of the Central Business District of Lake Charles. Under other features, NASA continues to use the airfield for cross-country training missions conducted with T-38 Talon supersonic trainers. Now, what better thing to test a weapon on than some easily disposed of trainer aircraft? But more importantly, what more than likely was going on is that they had some larger aircraft taking off there, much like the types that we see with the lasers mounted on them. Like this one. This is the YAL-1. Now, the final location, up in Oklahoma, is a place called Tyndall. And that's here. And this is the base home of the 138th Fighter Wing. This is another hidden asset in plain sight. Northeast Tulsa, or actually I should say just directly north in Tulsa, is the 138th Fighter Wing at Tulsa International Airport. Let's bring up that piece of information. And what do they say about themselves? Unit of the Oklahoma Air National Guard stationed at Tulsa Air National Guard Base. If activated to federal service as a United States Air Force unit, the 138th is gained by the Air Combat Command. That's based at Tyndall, by the way. They fly F-16s and F-16Cs and Ds, 125th Fighter, 138th Maintenance, 138th Mission Support Group, 138th Medical. Basically, we have four military installations that correlate directly with the locations that are shown in Dutchinski's video. almost down to the square foot. Now, these laser weapons, we talked about them back during the investigation during the Fitzgerald, because that was brought up. The Fitzgerald was one of the prototypes for, oh, by the way, Air Force utilizes Chenal Airfield for Swamp Devil exercises. So this is on the ground at Chenal, right here. 22 May 2020, USS Portland fires laser weapon, downs drone in first at-sea test. Now, the reason these super high-powered lasers do well on Navy ships is because of the amount of coolant needed. They need vast quantities of seawater to pump through the laser systems generating. These lasers are actually generated below decks, and they come up through lenses and then come off the bow. But they have developed them solid state now for fighters. But that's not going to probably happen for quite some time. Probably 2023. The more likely scenario for this, because this is an article delineating that delay. U.S. Air Force delays timeline for testing a laser on a fighter jet. But airborne laser weapon on track for 2022 demonstration. This was 9 June of this year. Special Operations Command wants to demonstrate a high-energy laser on an AC-130J Ghost Rider gunship in fiscal 2022. The 60-kilowatt high-energy laser will be mounted on an AC-130J, a massively armed workhorse from the Air Force, and it just carries a whole shit ton of missiles and bombs and cannons and guns. You know, this would have a couple of fighter escorts, but it could do some serious, serious damage. And to give you an idea of how powerful this is the Helio system that they've been developing. They kind of give the game away down here. Our beam control technology enables precision equivalent to shooting a beach ball off the top of the Empire State Building from the San Francisco Bay Bridge. Let me read that again. Our beam control technology enables precision equivalent to shooting a beach ball off the top of the Empire State Building from the San Francisco Bay Bridge. Now, here's where things get a little bit ominous. This was the YEL-1. This was an older developmental stage of this from years ago. But remember Nashville? The 118th Air Intelligence Wing up here? People might say, well, you know, maybe, maybe not. Let me read an article from this year, not even a month ago, for you, and tell me if you don't think this is strange. Warren County, Tennessee. 3 people were killed in a small crash that occurred out of the Warren County Memorial Airport. Now, this is very, very close to this. The 3 have been identified as members of the 118th Intelligence, Surveillance, and Reconnaissance Group with the Air National Guard in Tennessee. Now, are this just any 3 random Air Force soldiers getting together? No. Listen to who these people were. 45-year-old Lieutenant Colonel Sheila Dawn Huther, I hope that's how you say that, 37-year-old Captain Jessica Naomi Wright, and 53-year-old Sergeant Scott Allen Bumpus. Now, listen to who they actually were. Lieutenant Colonel Huther, Director of Operations for the 118th Intelligence Support Squadron. Jessica Wright, Assistant Director of Operations for the 118th. And Senior Master Sergeant Scott Bumpus was Chief of Operations for the 236th Intelligence Squadron. So in one plane that went down in this region, they took out the intelligence command of 2 different units. The director, the assistant director, and the chief of operations. Less than a month ago. Tell me that's not a coincidence. This is what's going on. Something very, very odd is happening. And I believe that Da Vinci got a window into it. There's no way that this is some kind of strange coincidence that these four locations all correlate to military, and that in one particular case, we have the strange loss of. You don't get to Lieutenant Colonel, Director of Operations of an intelligence wing without going through a massive amount of training. And not only did they lose the director, they lost the director, the assistant director for the 118th, they lost the chief of operations for the 236th in one plane. Ask yourself a question. Why were they all in one plane? Why were they all in one plane? Anyway, well done, Da Vinci, in finding the information. And once again, this isn't a debunk, it's just a different interpretation. You would have to know what or how MI works. A lot of people think it's a very spooky thing that you've got to go turn over rocks to find this and turn over rocks to find that. Guys, they hide in plain sight. They hide in plain sight. And I'll leave it there. Like, share, subscribe.